Imagine spending like $10,000 on an ad campaign.
Right. A decent budget.
Yeah, and then you're exporting 20 different CSV files just to figure out why, literally no one is clicking.
Oh, the absolute worst.
It is. And you realize you spent way more time staring at spreadsheets than actually looking at your product. Well, today we're looking at how a new AI agent basically just permanently killed the pivot table. Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Our mission today for you listening is to explore this massive, truly fundamental shift in digital marketing that took place in early 2026. Specifically, the integration of an AI agent platform called Manus, right directly into the Meta Ads ecosystem.
Yeah, and we're unpacking a really comprehensive source today, the Marketer's Guide to Manus for Meta. This guide, it really gets into the mechanics of how this integration fundamentally alters the day-to-day reality of digital advertising.
Exactly. So whether you are, say, a solo entrepreneur trying to run your very first lead gen campaign, or maybe you're an agency managing dozens of client accounts, or, just someone fascinated by how AI is eliminating that manual grind of data analysis.
Right.
This deep dive is going to show you how we're moving away from spreadsheet misery and toward instant plain language insights.
It's a huge leap.
Okay. Let's unpack this, because if running traditional Meta ads is like flying a commercial jet with 1,000 confusing dials, exporting CSVs and wrestling with pivot tables.
Yeah, totally overwhelming.
The arrival of Manus is like suddenly getting an AI co-pilot who just speaks plain English and handles the whole dashboard for you, instead of treating your ad data like a crime scene where you have to dust for fingerprints and cross-reference messy logs.
Right, trying to guess what happened.
Exactly. Manus treats your data like a witness on the stand. You just ask it directly what happened, and it answers you.
And what's fascinating here is that this shift from forensic analysis to direct conversation is really the core innovation. Before we get into the specific features Manus offers, we have to look at the underlying friction it was designed to eliminate.
Which is what, exactly?
Well, most advertisers don't lack data. The Meta Ads API floods you with performance metrics, attribution windows, demographic breakdowns.
Right, it's a fire hose.
Exactly. The bottleneck is the time required to extract a coherent narrative from all that data.
Yeah, because you launch a campaign and immediately the clock starts ticking, right? To figure out if your return on ad spend is actually viable, you are just digging deep into the ads manager.
Digging for hours.
Yeah, pulling disparate reports, trying to stitch together top-of-funnel engagement with bottom-of-funnel conversions, and you end up losing hours.
Hours you could have spent optimizing the actual strategy. And that manual extraction process is exactly where Manus slots in. In early 2026, Meta embedded this AI directly into the Meta Ads Manager.
So it's not a separate site you have to go to?
Nope. You access it straight through the Tools menu. And the defining characteristic of this integration is that it requires absolutely zero coding or query language knowledge.
Wow.
Yeah, it operates entirely on natural language processing.
Okay, so what does this actually mean in practice? Are we talking about a glorified spell check here, or an auto-suggest for ad copy, or is it an actual virtual employee?
It's much closer to an employee.
Because if it's just generating generic ad copy, we've had that for years. But if it's doing the analysis, it sounds like it's trying to replace the human data analyst.
Well, what's fascinating here is that it acts as an intelligent analytical layer positioned on top of the existing Meta database. It's not necessarily replacing the human marketer. It's democratizing the data access.
Okay, make that concrete for me.
Sure. By processing complex API queries in the background and serving you the synthesized insights in plain English, it removes the cognitive load of data wrangling. You're no longer spending your mental energy writing formulas to find out, say, your cost per acquisition by age group.
You just ask for it.
You get the answer instantly. Right. Which means your cognitive energy shifts entirely to what to actually do with that information.
Right. So if the data analysis bottleneck is solved, the pressure immediately shifts to output.
Exactly.
You have the insights, you have your 10 hours a week back, now you need the actual assets. And the guide makes it clear that Manus isn't just crunching numbers, it functions as a full creative engine.
Yeah, the capabilities here stretch from a blank canvas all the way to polished, ready-to-publish assets. Manus generates platform-native Instagram, Facebook ad copy, but it also generates and optimizes the visuals.
Wait, hold on. Generating text is one thing, but visual creatives?
Yeah, for visuals.
Is it just stitching together generic stock photos, or is it actually generating net new brand-specific imagery? Because as anyone who has run ads knows, Bad AI art with weird artifacts usually tanks conversion rates immediately.
Oh, absolutely. But it's much more sophisticated than just prompting a basic image generator. The guide highlights its AI-enhanced product image feature, which is specifically built for e-commerce. It uses edge detection and contextual background generation algorithms that are trained specifically on high-converting social media aesthetics.
So how does that work for a normal user?
You basically just upload a raw, relatively flat photo of your product, say a sneaker taken on an iPhone.
Just a normal phone
It's
picture.
just a phone picture.
Sure.
Manus identifies the object, maps its lighting, and completely reimagines the environment around it based on current platform trends. It renders it into a professional lifestyle shot.
Wow. Bypassing the need for a $5,000 studio photo shoot entirely.
Exactly.
I mean, for an agency, that changes the unit economics of onboarding a new client. You don't have to wait 3 weeks for a creative shoot just to launch a test campaign.
The impact on unit economics is massive, and it extends beyond just the ad creatives, too. One of the most impactful mechanics mentioned in the guide is Manus's ability to instantly turn a Facebook page into a high-converting landing page.
Now, this caught my eye because building a dedicated external landing page is often the biggest point of friction for local businesses.
Huge bottleneck.
But how is Manus actually doing this? Is it just hosting a basic website somewhere else?
No, it's mapping the existing assets from the business's Facebook page, the reviews, the service lists, the contact info directly into a localized meta-hosted canvas.
Okay, so it stays on Meta.
Yes.
Right.
Because it bypasses third-party hosting and external domain redirects, the load time is virtually instantaneous.
Right. So for the user clicking on the ad, there's zero friction.
Zero. And for the advertiser, bypassing the external web environment directly improves the ad's quality ranking in the meta auction, which actively lowers the cost per click.
Oh, that's incredibly smart. You are keeping the user inside Meta's ecosystem, which Meta rewards with cheaper distribution. That makes perfect sense.
A win-win.
Now, taking this creative engine a step further, the source notes that Manus tackles creator discovery within Instagram's creator marketplace. Because finding an influencer isn't hard, but finding one whose audience will actually buy your product is notoriously difficult.
Manus approaches this by evaluating creator and audience alignment through data,
Hmm.
not just aesthetics. It doesn't just look at a creator's follower count.
Right, because followers can be bought.
Exactly. It uses natural language processing to analyze the sentiment and demographic markers within a creator's audience comments. Then it cross-references those patterns against your brand's established lookalike audiences.
That's deep.
It's mathematically matching your ideal customer profile to the invisible data footprint of the influencer's following.
Okay, here is where the source gets into a feature that sounds incredible, but also raises a massive red flag for me.
Oh, which one?
The 30-day content calendar generation. The guide states Manus can plan a full month of post ideas and ready-to-publish schedules. I understand the time savings, but how does it know what will actually perform?
Right.
Isn't there a high risk of the AI just hallucinating a strategy, guessing in the dark, and filling your feed with mediocre content?
That is the exact trap of early generative AI. But Manus avoids it by utilizing its competitor analysis feature as the foundation for the calendar.
Hmm.
It isn't guessing. It's actively scraping public engagement data from your competitors across Facebook and Instagram.
So it's essentially running surveillance on the other guys.
Surveillance with deep analysis. It doesn't just copy what they post. It correlates their posting velocity with engagement spikes. It analyzes the visual palettes of their most successful images, and even uses sentiment analysis on their comment sections to identify unaddressed customer pain points.
Could you give me a concrete example of how that translates to the calendar?
Sure. Let's say you run a boutique coffee brand. Manus analyzes 3 of your biggest competitors and notices a distinct pattern. Whenever they post cozy indoor aesthetic imagery on days with heavy rainfall in their target markets, their engagement and conversion rates spike by 40%.
Oh, wow.
Right. So Manus takes that insight, pre-generates rainy day specific creatives using your product photos, and dynamically adjusts your 30-day calendar to heavily weight those posts in regions where the forecast calls for rain.
It's operationalizing competitive intelligence in real time. It's acting like a spy inside every competing agency, finding the statistical anomalies of what works, and then drafting your schedule based on those proven engagement metrics.
And it does this seamlessly. But generating brilliant creatives, optimizing a calendar, and securing the right influencers that only covers the setup phase.
Right.
Once those campaigns go live and actual budget starts burning, you need absolute clarity on performance. Which brings us to the core engine of the entire platform, the Meta Ads Manager connector.
This is the feature that active media buyers are going to really fixate on. The connector is what turns Manus into that personal conversational AI ads analyst we talked about at the beginning.
Exactly. The set of mechanics here are crucial to understand. You navigate to the Connectors tab inside the Manus workspace, select Meta Ads Manager, and authorize read-only access.
I really want to highlight that read-only access part because the first thought any media buyer has when connecting an AI to their ad account is, what if it goes rogue and accidentally adds 2 zeros to my daily budget?
Yeah, that fear is exactly why the architecture uses a tokenized read-only handshake. Manus can pull the JSON payloads, all the performance data, the spend, the demographic breakdowns, but it is physically prevented from executing a PUST request to alter your campaigns.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, it cannot spend your money or change your targeting. It is strictly a secure viewing window into the database.
That structural limitation is a huge relief. So once that secure connection is established, the plain language querying begins. The guide provides some sample prompts, and you can literally ask it questions the way you would ask a human analyst sitting across from you.
Exactly.
You can ask, what was my total ad spend last month? Or compare the click-through rates of my top 5 campaigns.
And behind the scenes, the large language model is taking your natural language intent, mapping it to the specific Meta API endpoints, retrieving the raw data, and formatting it into a conversational response.
So it does the translation for you.
Yeah, and you can push it to be incredibly granular. You can ask, which specific age demographic has the highest return on ad spend across all active video campaigns in the last 7 days?
And it just knows.
The LLM queries the database and gives you the exact answer. No downloading CSVs, no cross-referencing multiple pivot tables.
So instead of taking an advanced course in Excel to figure out how to parse Meta's reporting dashboards, I can just text it like a colleague.
Pretty much.
I can say, identify my top 3 actionable recommendations for improving campaign performance this week without increasing my total ad spend. And it parses the data to deliver that.
Yes. If we connect this to the bigger picture, beyond answering ad hoc queries, it automates dynamic reporting entirely. You can configure Manus to run those complex queries on a schedule and deliver weekly campaign summaries directly to your inbox.
That's wild.
It takes the live ad data and generates slide decks, infographics, and visual dashboards on the fly.
The workflow integration aspect is also heavily emphasized in the guide. It connects with Google Suite and Zapier, allowing advertisers to build out fully automated reporting pipelines.
Right.
And for agency owners, this solves a massive logistical headache. Manus supports multi-account management. You can switch between different client ad accounts seamlessly within a single workspace without having to log in and out of different Meta business managers.
The broader implication of this connector is that it completely shatters the technical barrier to entry for data analysis. It enables literally any team member to access complex ad insights.
Right, because you don't need a data science degree.
Exactly. A copywriter doesn't need to submit a ticket to the data team to find out which headline is winning the A/B test. They can ask Manus directly and get a visual chart in seconds.
It compresses the feedback loop to almost zero. You are making strategic decisions in real time. But, as much as this all sounds like a marketer's ultimate dream, we have to look at the friction.
Of course.
The guide itself includes a reality check. What are the actual limitations of this integration right now? And where does the AI fall short?
The source is very transparent that Manus is still an evolving tool. Like any system relying on large language models, early versions of the integration have demonstrated inconsistencies,
Inconsistencies like what?
particularly when handling highly complex mathematical cross-referencing.
And the guide specifically notes that agency advertisers report a strict need to verify the generated results before passing those slide decks or dashboards on to their clients.
This raises an important question about oversight, because that verification step is critical. You have to double-check the logic. The LLM might perfectly understand the API data, but occasionally hallucinate the context of a specific metric.
So it gets the numbers right, but tells the wrong story.
Sometimes, yes. The industry consensus right now is that Manus provides undeniable, immediate value in accelerating data analysis, generating reports, and conducting competitor research. However, it is not currently capable of, nor recommended for, fully autonomous campaign management.
So even though it feels like magic, You can't just hand over the keys, let it run your budget, and go on vacation.
Definitely not.
It can tell me that a specific ad image has a soaring conversion rate, and it can instantly generate 30 new variations of that image based on those insights, but I still have to be the one to physically hit the publish button. I have to steer the ship.
This friction actually highlights the ultimate role of the human marketer moving forward. The bottom line from the guide is clear. Manus is a powerful automation layer designed to eliminate the heavy lifting of research, reporting, and ideation. But it is not a substitute for human judgment in media buying.
Because you still need a human to look at the overall strategy and say, yes, this highly optimized creative makes mathematical sense, but it completely violates our brand's voice.
Right.
Or this competitor insight is factually true, but it doesn't align with our long-term market positioning.
Exactly. The AI processes the map and builds the vehicle, but the human must ultimately decide the destination and ensure the brand doesn't lose its identity along the way.
Let's bring this all together. We have explored a truly profound leap forward in digital marketing. We are looking at the death of the manual data extraction grind.
The end of the CSV era.
Truly. The Manus integration for Meta brings advertisers into an era of conversational insights. You can generate professional creatives and enhance product images from a simple prompt.
You can instantly bypass Meta's API friction to turn a Facebook page into a high-converting landing page.
You can build a 30-day strategy based on deep competitor surveillance and dynamically generate slide decks just by asking a question in plain English.
It completely shifts the marketer's daily workflow from manual labor and data wrangling to pure strategic oversight.
For those of you listening who are currently running Meta ads, you can access this integration directly via the Tools menu inside the Meta Ads Manager. Or you can navigate to manus.im/programs/meta/mktt to connect your accounts.
And of course, you can check manus.im for full platform access and the latest pricing details. Given the sheer amount of hours it reclaims from the weekly workflow, it's a tool that businesses of every size need to be testing.
Absolutely. But before we sign off, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over something that builds on this reality check we just discussed.
Okay.
The guide heavily emphasizes that Manus frees you up to focus on strategy and creative decisions. But think about the logical conclusion of this technology.
Where it's all heading.
Right. If every single business advertising on Meta suddenly has access to the exact same brilliant AI analyst, the exact same deep competitor insights, and perfectly optimized, algorithmically generated creatives, how will you possibly stand out?
That is the ultimate paradox of total optimization. When everyone is perfectly optimized, nobody is.
Exactly. When efficiency, polish, and optimization become completely commoditized by AI, perhaps the only true competitive advantage left for a brand will be pure, unautomated human weirdness.
I love that.
That unpredictable, irrational intuition that an AI would immediately filter out as a statistical anomaly. Think about that the next time you see a visually perfect, highly optimized ad in your feed. Because at the end of the day, even with the smartest AI co-pilot in the dashboard perfectly managing all the dials and reading the data, it still takes a human to decide to fly the jet somewhere completely unexpected.